Welcome to the video. If you're excited for what's coming up, give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe. Let's jump into it. The scene begins on the outskirts of the Paiyu Field dungeon, where a sleek black car waits, engine idling. Inside, Choi Jong holds a flickering blue flame in the shape of a bird, his demeanor serious. He explains that the flame will serve as a signal. If it extinguishes, it means the party inside the dungeon is in trouble. He notes the significance of this magical communication method, as traditional devices fail to work within dungeons. Choi wears a sly grin, though it's more performative than genuine. He remarks mockingly about the hope that the S-rank hunters won't need to intervene in the situation. Sitting beside him, Im-tae-ju remains silent at first, but is clearly paying attention. Choi probes further, bringing up concerns about Lee Min-sung potentially causing more problems. Tae-jae, visibly irritated, retorts coldly, asking if Choi is deliberately trying to provoke him. Choi denies it, though his playful tone suggests otherwise. The conversation grows tenser as Tae-jae accuses Choi of being jealous of S-rank hunter Park Dojin, who joined a rival guild. Choi's forced smile falters, revealing his annoyance, though he insists their guild already has plenty of talented hunters. Tae-jae shifts the discussion to the larger issue, Lee Min-sung's alleged involvement in distributing an unknown stimulant. As guild master, Tae-jae feels responsible and warns Choi not to interfere unless absolutely necessary. Choi, crossing his arms, agrees but expresses his preference to avoid unnecessary conflict altogether. The perspective shifts to the dungeon, where the raid party faces a massive salamander boss. The creature prepares to unleash a deadly fire breath, but the team holds its ground. The tank steps forward, absorbing the brunt of the attack with a raised shield, while Lee Min-sung charges the beast with fierce determination, his attacks unrelenting. Miho observes Lee Min-sung and notices a strange change in him. He's fighting harder than usual, almost unnaturally so. Her attention briefly shifts to the Park Dojin standing motionless and withholding their aid. Frustrated, Miho wonders why the Park Dojin, despite his power, is letting the team handle everything. As she refocuses on the battle, she questions the reason behind Lee Min-sung's heightened aggression. The Apostle, meanwhile, watches Min-sung with keen interest. Smiling faintly, he concludes that Stardust, the magical substance used to enhance hunters, doesn't affect those above B rank. However, the condensed form, a star fragment, has the potential to elevate hunters beyond their limits. His suspicions about its effects are confirmed as he observes Min-sung's remarkable speed and precision in combat. Min-sung's strikes are brutal and relentless, leaving even Miho in awe. The salamander, enraged by Min-sung's assault, lashes out with its massive tail in a swift, lethal attack. Min-sung manages to block the strike with his sword, but the sheer force of the blow sends him skidding backward. Though strained, he refuses to falter, his resolve unwavering. The Apostle, watching intently, reflects on the limits of Min-sung's power. Even with the awakening effects of the star fragment, Min-sung, an A-rank hunter, still struggles to match the level of an S-rank. Golden energy begins to radiate from the Apostle as he prepares to intervene indirectly. He channels one of the 5 abilities of the star fragment, amplification. This power enhances not only the unique traits of the user, but also the magical properties of their weapon. As the Apostle activates the blessing, Min-sung is enveloped in a brilliant blue aura, his weapon glowing with the same light. The Apostle identifies Min-sung's unique trait as the amplification of magic power, which synergizes with his weapon's ability to enhance slashing power. Smiling, he urges Min-sung to demonstrate the strength of an S-rank hunter. Infused with newfound energy, Min-sung's transformation is striking. His glowing yellow eyes lock onto the salamander with deadly focus. In a single, devastating motion, he unleashes a slash infused with magic energy. The attack is so powerful that it cuts cleanly through the salamander and shatters the dungeon's roof, causing debris to rain down. The resulting explosion is massive, reverberating through the dungeon. Outside, Choi Jong and Im-tae-ju witness the eruption from the car, their expressions stunned. The sheer scale of destruction far exceeds anything they had anticipated, leaving them in shocked silence. Inside the dungeon, Miho was stunned by the aftermath of Lee Min-sung's attack, staring at the massive crater and the lifeless monster it had left behind. The sight was too much for her to process. How did he gain this much power? She wondered, considering Lee Min-sung was just an A-rank hunter. Meanwhile, Lee Min-sung stood silently over the fallen creature, his expression unreadable as his sword dripped with the monster's remains. The apostle, observing him, mused about the fatigue caused by amplifying a hunter's power, noting that Lee Min-sung had briefly reached S rank, but most of the amplification had already faded. The apostle mocked Lee Min-sung for not being strong enough to contain S rank power, triggering a brief, emotional storm in Lee Min-sung, who clutched his fists, determined that he wasn't finished. As the other hunters surveyed the devastation, Miho grew increasingly suspicious. She couldn't believe that an A-rank hunter could have pulled off such an attack. Was there something else at play here? She wondered as her mind searched for answers, suspecting that stardust or some other stimulant might be involved. The tension in the air was palpable, as if something bigger was unfolding just beyond their grasp. Suddenly, Lee Min-sung made a swift, unexpected move, plunging his sword into the apostle's back. The room was thrown into chaos. The apostle staggered forward, shocked and in pain, as his voice cracked, asking how Lee Min-sung had done it. Lee Min-sung responded with a chilling laugh, revealing his eyes now turned pitch black and declaring that he would never be brainwashed by someone like the apostle. He intended to use the cursed power granted to him, and with a sharp motion, he pulled his sword free, causing the apostle to collapse. The room fell into an eerie silence. The hunters, once allies with Lee Min-sung, now viewed him with fear and wariness. Miho, furious and confused, demanded an explanation, accusing Lee Min-sung of losing his mind due to the drug. Lee Min-sung, his laughter growing increasingly maniacal, revealed that his mind was overwhelmed by the voices of S-rank hunters waiting outside. Desperate to escape, he threatened anyone who stood in his way and cut down the hunters blocking his exit with blinding speed. In moments, he was gone, disappearing through the hole he had created earlier in the ceiling. Miho, still reeling from the chaos, ordered the remaining hunters to send a signal to the S-rank hunters outside. However, her unease grew as she turned to the apostle, who, despite his grievous wound, had somehow recovered. He grinned maliciously, stating that with a strong enough mind, one could resist the divinity of the Mistborn, regardless of magical power. His calm demeanor and twisted satisfaction sent a shiver through Miho. Confused and disturbed, Miho questioned how the apostle was still alive, considering the fatal nature of Lee Min-sung's attack. The apostle only widened his grin, his bloodied fingers running through his hair, exuding an ominous presence. His silence spoke volumes, hinting at sinister intentions. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, Lee Min-sung was on the run, exhausted and furious. He had gained S-rank power, but now he was a fugitive. Cursing the various forces he could no longer trust, he decided to lay low in a nearby city. As he fled through the forest, a blade suddenly struck the ground in front of him, halting him in his tracks. Tension filled the air as Lee Min-sung wondered who was following him. A voice emerged from the shadows, calm and authoritative. "I wondered what caused that explosion. I figured you'd come out on your own." Lee Min-sung turned to see a figure step from the trees. It was Suho, a man whose cold and unwavering presence immediately commanded attention. Suho confronted Lee Min-sung, demanding that he reveal everything about Stardust and the Iterum Apostle, making it clear that he would not take no for an answer. We got plenty more where that came from. Hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for even more amazing content.